This play is one that when we were looking at a season for this year, it kept coming up. A friend of mine wrote it. He was a student when I was in grad school, and my wife Ella kept saying, "You should read Jamie's play. You should read Jamie's play." And so I did, and it really hit on a number of levels. This production is our Kennedy Center American College Theater Festival entry, and for that we want to do something that pushes kind of the capabilities of what we do here at Angelo State. It definitely pushes the actors, it pushes the technicians, it pushes the designers, it pushed me as a director, and so it was a really good opportunity for us to do a new play by a new playwright and kind of push ourselves at the same time.
You guys are like hovering around like a 4. This needs to be like an 8.
But this is really the story of a sidekick becoming the hero. And you have this sidekick that everybody knows alongside a famous, rock star of a sleuth. And it's always Watson, or it's always Holmes, and then you have Watson on the side, just kind of as the second to his first person. And it's really about him, finding an inner strength, finding a way to overcome great obstacles, and succeeding, and eventually becoming the hero more than the hero is. I really enjoy the fights. I did the fight choreography. I've done some fight choreography, but not to the extent that this show has in it. Having a background in pro wrestling was fun because I got to put some of those moves in. And historically, in this era, boxing and wrestling were kind of becoming famous, and so that was a nice thing to kind of throw in there. It's exciting to watch because the fights, while they're physical, there's also a lot of comedy in the fights also, which keeps with the play. So I enjoy watching those. The play is very challenging. You have to have 221B Baker Street. You get on 2 trains, hot air balloon. You're fighting on the cliffs of Dover. You're fighting on top of a train. There's a horse chase. You're in a Turkish minaret. And I knew scenically we weren't going to be able to create all of those. And so it was going to rely on the actors and a lot of parts to make them. And so coming into it, into the audition process, I looked for actors who were good at improv, good at physical comedy, and who I knew could, under a given circumstance, create something out of nothing. And so when we got into the rehearsal process, it was, okay, we have all these boxes. What is a train going to look like? And the actors created the train. And this is the kind of theater that I really enjoy the most because, theater is collaborative, and having a lot of good actors and designers to collaborate with really makes this a really exciting piece.
You start always with analyzing the script, knowing what your director wants, knowing the intent of the playwright. With this show, the playwright and the director both were very adamant that they wanted the visual effect of the costumes to be of the period, which is 1891 to 1894. But to do that with a modern written play became a real challenge because those clothes were very structured, and though the bustle had somewhat gone away, the women were still very heavily corseted. The men's suits were tighter, and the physicality of this show just absolutely, you can't have that kind of structure in the clothing. So to maintain the look and yet the actors be able to move became a challenge. But we figured it out. One of the most fun things that we've done has been Queen Victoria, just because of it being played by a man. We're getting to step outside of the box and just do some fun things. But this is the research sheet that I did on her silver anniversary, which was way earlier than this at the time of this play, but it was just kind of fun to play with that. We will definitely have the iconic look for Holmes of the deerstalker hat, but rather than doing one that was on the market, I made one so that that fabric is very different. And I'm also making the Inverness coat, caped coat, that he is identified with all the time. And but again, doing it out of a very different fabric. I wanted it very London and very of the period. Instead of wools, I found tweeds that look like wools, but they're made out of silk. So that for the audience, it will feel like winter, and it will feel like London and the fog and everything, but the actors can not die. The conductor, I think that that turned out, we just started with a plain black hat, and Ryder, our props person, is the one that actually created the band and the flash and everything on it. He did a super job on that. I never want the costumes to be the stars of the show. They're not. Costumes are to facilitate. That's their only function on stage, is that when the audience is watching, they never stop to think, would that person really wear that? Because the character, it's all about the character and what the character would wear. I want the costumes to be part of the character. I really love this concept, and I love the way it's going, and I think it is so exciting for this generation of audiences to see it like this.
The whole set, I really feel, is a shock and awe sort of set, where you see this stack that's in the back of the stage and you don't really know what anything is going to be until it becomes it. And then once it does, you instantly accept it as, well, of course that's what that is, even though, you know, the cliffs of Dover are just 2 crates and a ladder. You accept it instantly because we transition so fluidly through the entire production that the audience isn't distracted by things being a steamer crate. We really rely on the audience's imagination, and so far I think it's been extremely successful. It's a massive Lego set, so every piece provides multiple functions throughout the production. So a single crate can be a desk, a train, and I don't even know what else. I mean, and a base for some other piece. So the original concept from Mike was everything was steamer trunks and luggage, and then what Elle and I really started to play with was not only what can these pieces represent, but what also can these pieces sort of morph or transform into. The entire show takes place actually in Sherlock's apartment of 221B Baker Street, and Watson is reading from his journal. So that location we designed completely different than every other location in the show. So that space really becomes the space. So we have a container that becomes Sherlock's chair. We have a container that becomes the desk. We have containers that become bookcases. So that space is really defined and separate from the rest of the production. And that was really sort of fun to discover with Ella. I think this production, at least for the year that I've been here, this production has been technically the most challenging and also technically the most exciting. I think from an acting perspective, this is a difficult show. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of energy that you have to portray on stage while being very controlled. We have fight sequences, we're flying people, we have high falls, we have everything that makes theater dangerous, but also can make theater so great and entertaining to watch. So I'm really excited to put this in front of an audience and just watch them love it, because I can't imagine they won't.